Hey guys, this is Evan from Stock Music Musician, and today I have a sort of serious take on why Reason sucks and why I've sort of moved away from using it. But this is also going to be a video celebrating Reason. I don't intend to disparage it. What I really want to do is kind of say who it's for and who it's not for, and how, as I've grown as a musician, it's less for me, which doesn't take anything away from it because not everything can be everything for all people. So I'm going to start by telling you why I think Reason sucks for me these days, and then I'm going to pivot to why I still love it and why I would still recommend it to a ton of people. Alright, so just a quick bit on my journey. I got Reason probably in like 2003. I think it was Reason 2.5, there's the box back there, and have used most of the versions of Reason and have loved it, and basically it's really where I started recording, did a lot of my growth as a producer, as a songwriter, as a mixer in Reason. Mostly was just making demos, having fun, fooling around. It was fun. I loved it. But over the years, especially the last 3 or 4 years, I've really gotten into music licensing, writing and recording songs and then putting them up and selling them. And Reason doesn't work that great for that. It's not that you can't produce high quality sounds, it's that the workflow drags. And part of the music licensing business is that you just have to be efficient, you have to be fast, and you have to make songs quickly in order to have it be profitable for you. And so Reason really doesn't work well for that. And I want to just explain a few reasons why I think for professionals, or wannabe professionals, pro amateurs, Reason is not that great. First, it just takes a lot of time to do anything. Wiring up things it takes time. If you want to move things around, if you want to switch things up, you're dragging wires as opposed to just reordering little plugins. And it doesn't sound like much, but when you have a bunch of channels over a bunch of songs, it really does take longer to make major shifts in your songs. Second, you can't see what your plugins are like easily from the mixer view necessarily. And so this can be really hard if you aren't producing everything all at once. You know, you finish a few songs and then go to mix them. You have to dive down into the racks and try and keep it all straight in your head. And organizationally, it's difficult. It takes time. A big other thing is that when you export songs in Reason, it doesn't give you that many options. For example, it doesn't give you the option to export to MP3. Now, you might say, oh, MP3 is a dead format. But no, I have had professionals that are in the business ask me for demos in MP3 format. If people are still using it, it's not dead. It's a real thing. And to have to go and convert files to MP3, that takes time. Another thing is like there's not a button to include the tail of a bounced recording. So in Logic, for example, you can set the endpoints for the song, but then check this box, and it will bounce it as long as there's still some sound coming through, so that you don't have your reverb tails cut off, because sometimes you're not going to know exactly where a song ends. And to not have this feature it takes time. Again, it doesn't necessarily always give you the best bounces. Another big issue, and not just the export side, that there is a big disconnect between the sequencer in Reason on one hand and the mixer and the rack. The mixer and the rack, they don't sync the position of instruments. They don't sync muting and soloing. So if you solo something on the sequencer, it's not necessarily it doesn't solo on the other two, and vice versa. And this can, again, lead to situations where if you leave a track and come back to it later, you might not realize that everything is soloed or muted. You have to dive down several menus to find it out. Sort of the inverse of that is that Reason doesn't give you many options to hide or collapse tracks. So this, if you've got like 10 tracks on the drums, for example, all going to one bus, it would be great if you could collapse it all and just have like your drum bus there, and then, you could have your 5 tracks for guitar, collapse it. That type of workflow really matters the more tracks you've started to stack, and it helps you keep track of what you're doing and what you've already done. And the inability to do that just really slows down the process, especially if you jump in and out of mixes. And several other huge things to me, I think, are the fact that there's no really easy way of versioning a song. So what I mean by this is, let's say you make one mix of the song, you save it, and then you want to make a remix of the song. You didn't like everything, but you're not sure that it's better. You want to save it as like mix version 2. If you do that in Reason, it creates an entirely new folder, new song, all that, new files, which could be another gigabyte or 2 or more, however big the song is. And then if you do version 3, that's another couple megabytes or gigabytes. And instead of doing it that way, other software, it keeps all the assets contained, and it just, changes the differences in the levels and all of that, and what's different between them, as opposed to resaving all the audio files. And so I think this really can get in the way of producing professional songs, because you get all these versions and it's taking up just a massive amount of space and time, whereas you'd really prefer to just have the differences being saved. The final thing, I would say, major thing for why it doesn't work great for professionally, is because there's no video support. It doesn't matter to everyone. It doesn't really matter to me. I've never had to score to video. But if you're going to be a professional, you need to be able to do that for certain job opportunities. And that feature is just completely absent. And so it's not applicable. Now, that said, Reason is great. It's not necessarily a professional composer's type of piece of software. It doesn't have to be everything to everybody. In fact, it is awesome if you don't enjoy, or if you don't really care about finishing your songs. And I mean this sincerely, because for 10 years or something, I had no interest in finishing songs, or particularly showing a final version to anybody. I show my friends, like, oh, yeah, look what I'm working on. But it was just about having fun, making some interesting music. And on that level, Reason is extremely, extremely fun. I still enjoy using it. I enjoy the interface. It's fun. It's playful. It's also incredibly educational. I got a sort of semi-modular synth, and because of Reason, I had a way better understanding of how it all was working, because it's just graspable, and that makes it enjoyable to use, which creating music should be all about joy if you're not doing it professionally or not trying to make, somewhat of a living with it. Another big thing about Reason is it's super creative with the ability to route the CV voltage everywhere. And you're going to come up with some sounds in Reason that you really won't come up with anywhere else, because of this flexibility and this sort of, opportunity to create these almost organic, self-evolving loops or sounds, patches, where all these CV wires are, connected into all these different patch points, and you're just getting these cool, like, warm, lush sounds that you couldn't program in a million years if you wanted to, and that, as far as I know, a lot of DAWs don't offer you the opportunity to do without really extensive programming, and that's kind of different. The other thing is, it's just cool. I really, really still enjoy dropping into Reason. It feels more like an instrument to me. I think that's really the way I would describe the end of my take here, this rant, is that Reason feels more like an instrument to me than it does like a digital audio workstation. It's not, and that's what it evolved. I mean, that's been its evolution. It's not great for work, but it's great for play. It's a wonderful sandbox for making music. And so if I were to recommend Reason, I would still say it's a great piece of software for people that are just interested in making music and fucking around on the computer. But if you're looking to be a professional, if you're looking to consistently release a few songs a month or more than that, I think you'll find that the roadblocks and speed bumps that Reason puts up slow you down a lot, and that adds up over time. Especially, like me, I work a full-time job during the day, so if I'm wasting, 20 minutes per song, that, and I do 8 songs a month, which is what I've been doing this year, that quickly adds up to like one fewer song I'm able to produce every month, or maybe every 2 months. And, over time, that really, really starts to add up. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you don't think this was I'm not trying to be clickbait here. I'm trying to offer a genuine perspective and share why I have moved away from reason a little bit, but why I still love it. And, I'd love to hear your comments on this as well, because I think everybody's sort of in a different place. And reason, I don't think you can try and please, I don't think they should try and please all people. I don't think it's possible to do. But I hope that they keep doing what they do well. So if you enjoyed this, please be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are. I'd really appreciate hearing. Take care, and be good to each other.